Gram is in one hell of a mood today. Not sure if she's just feeling better than usual or something has got her riled up. Either way, she's letting her feelings be known. That's just a forewarning before we get into this transcription. There are things about her in here that I personally never wanted to hear. No, really. She can tell me how she saw eldritch beings in the vastness of space, and none of that is as terrifying as her talking about hooking up with astronauts in the training areas. Ugh. Here's the transcription. I'm going to go chug bleach. Conversation from April 5th, 2020. Again, this is being told by Gram and translated by me. My own interjections are in these brackets. Ah, you want to hear more? All right. Guess it's time to turn this bullshit off. Lived through the damn missile crisis and I'm going to get taken out because nobody is competent enough to stay in their damn houses. Gram has been cursing like a sailor all day. She only does this when she's either very happy or very anxious. So, let's see. I told you we had some crews up there already, yeah? Just couldn't get any successful returns down. Damn Reds beat us to that. Joke was on them though. They just tossed Gagarin up there in a metal tube and waited for him to come back down on his own. We actually had our own man pilot themselves back down to Earth. How's that for you? Russians don't have shit on American determination. So we did a few other missions once we finally got the hang of putting people up there and bringing them back down. It was all smooth sailing for the most part. So now, what did we decide to do? Put a man on the goddamn moon. She gets up and goes to the kitchen, returning with a bottle of red wine and a comically large glass. I mentioned to her that it's only around 2 in the afternoon. I worked with astronauts, darling. Days don't matter when you're orbiting the planet. Anyway, it was 62 that we crashed a vessel on the far side of the moon. That was something of a test run, I suppose, seeing just how bad we could crash and burn something before we tried it again with people inside. We had the Ranger 4 vessel that we sent up there. Had do a flyby of the moon for a bit, and take some photos before dive bombing it to the surface and taking some pictures for us there. We never released those to the public. Scared the hell out of all of us in the command center when they transmitted back. Keep in mind all the pictures we had at the time were black and white still, no color photography on that scale yet. So Ranger 4 lands there and immediately begins snapping pictures. All of us are standing around expecting to see just a barren expanse of grey rock, nothing all too special. Lo and behold, the first picture comes back and there's someone just standing there, right in front of the crashed capsule. We couldn't tell gender or race or anything. They were in a spacesuit that looked remarkably like the ones we were developing. So naturally we think, oh no, they beat us to the moon. Because who else could it be at this point? The Russians were the only other country keeping any kind of pace with us. Then we realized it couldn't be them. They would have already been rubbing it in our faces if they had landed a man on the moon. There's no fucking way this is from anyone on our planet. That's when the rest of the pictures started coming in. The suit kept getting closer and closer to the capsule, maintaining the same stance the whole time. It just kind of floated over to it. Then you could see into the visor on the helmet. Where there should have been someone's face visible, there was just fire. Pure, bright flame. Then the pictures stopped. Nothing else came from Ranger 4. She finishes off her first glass of wine. Or half-gallon. It's hard to tell from the size of the glass. She immediately empties the rest of the bottle into it. I'll give the higher-ups at NASA credit, though. Crazy bastards didn't let seeing a flaming cosmonaut stop them from going ahead with their plans. We plugged away at it, sending up more and more missions to orbit the Earth, do flybys of the Moon, Mars, Jupiter, anything we could get near. We saw a few oddities here and there as we went, but things stayed mostly silent for those few years. Maybe we just didn't notice it because we were so focused on the mission at hand. Then it finally happened in '69, as you well know. We got to the moon, beat the Russians there after all. There was that big televised bit with Neil and Buzz taking the steps onto the surface and everything. I really hated those suits they had them in. Didn't get to accentuate Buzz's best features for sure. That man had the best ass in this entire galaxy. This was one of 5 tangents about Buzz Aldrin's physical features throughout the day. I've edited these out for the sake of mine and your sanity. You ever consider that we landed someone on the moon and sent up missions to land again and again for the next 3 years, then just quit cold turkey and never went back? Why do you think that is? Huh? Hey, I thought you wanted to hear all this. At this point in time, she threw the remote for the television at me. I had retreated to my mental safe space during the Buzz Aldrin diatribe. Well, we did go back. A few times. This wasn't for the scientific research we did the last 3 years. No, this was for anthropological purposes. We found things on the moon. We weren't the first beings there. No, we started finding small signs with the Apollo 14 mission. There were some little remnants of previous visitors. The first thing they found were some symbols carved into crater walls. Nothing that we could translate, of course. Nobody knew what the hell they meant, but we knew they weren't naturally occurring. That much was obvious. So they took pictures of all the ones they found. Pretty sure they're still working on it to this day. They'll probably crack the Zodiac cipher before that damn thing. Apollo 17 was when they knew they needed to carry this one on privately. That's the last manned moon mission that happened back in '72. For all the world knows, we ain't been back since. That's the way they want to keep it. Apollo 17 found way more than anyone previously had. They found full-on structures. Altars of worship is what it looked like. I can't even describe the images transmitted back. The way these things were built, it wasn't natural. There's no way that structures built that way should be allowed to stand. It was like the ghost of Lovecraft possessed Escher and made him design some fucked-up church. We advised them not to go inside. We would send another mission up there with some better training and equipment to document all of this. That's where Apollo 18 to 22 came in. Before they left, though, they photographed the structure from every angle. We didn't notice until the end that it appeared absolutely identical, no matter what angle it was viewed from. 100% symmetry. Everything aligned perfectly, no matter how insane it was built up. Gram finishes the second glass of wine, leaning back in her chair. Well, I believe that's enough wine for 1 hour. Time for a good nap. All that talk of Buzz got me thinking about the old days. I turned off the recorder and ran from the room. I can still hear Gram cackling from downstairs.